Welcome back, everyone. We're kicking off another deep dive, and today we're looking at something pretty fascinating. It's the unexpected connection between nuclear energy and, you guessed it, the AI boom. Now, you and I were all about AI and how it's changing everything, but have we ever stopped to think about all the energy behind it? All those cool AI tools and apps? It's got to be a lot, right?
You're right, it is.
Yeah.
Every single time you ask your AI assistant something or use these generative AI tools, it's all powered by huge amounts of data. And that data, it lives in these massive data centers. Those things, they eat up electricity like crazy,
Right.
way more than just a few light bulbs.
So hold on, it's not just my phone dying super fast. We're talking about like a global energy drain situation here.
Exactly. Data centers are already a big chunk of global electricity use, and with AI getting bigger and bigger, it's only going to get worse. By 2030, get this, data centers alone could eat up something like 12% of all the electricity in the US.
12%. Whoa, that's nuts. So what, are we all going to be sitting in the dark so our AI assistants can keep working? Is that the plan?
Not quite. There's actually a solution that's, well, maybe a bit surprising. Nuclear energy.
Yep, you heard that right. Nuclear power is actually becoming a real player in powering this whole AI explosion.
Nuclear, I always thought of that as, well, old news. Isn't everyone all about renewables like solar and wind these days?
Renewables are awesome, no doubt, but they can't do everything. Think about it. Data centers need power all the time, 24/7, no breaks. Solar and wind, they're clean and all, but they can be a bit unreliable. Sun's not always shining, the wind's not always blowing, you know.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So where does nuclear fit in all this?
Nuclear plants, they're built to run nonstop. They give you that steady, predictable power supply that data centers crave. Like, think marathon runners. Those guys just keep going, steady and reliable.
So it's kind of like that friend who's always there, rain or shine, versus the one who's always flaking out.
Perfect analogy. And here's another thing. Nuclear power is crazy efficient. One nuclear reactor can make as much electricity as like thousands of wind turbines or tons of solar panels. Think about that. Seriously, all that power from just one reactor, that's wild.
It's true. It's what they call high energy density. Lots of power packed into a small space, which is super important for data centers because those things can be squeezed for space.
Okay, so I've got reliable and efficient. That's two big wins for nuclear. But what about the downsides? The stuff everyone always talks about. Safety, waste disposal, you know, the usual nuclear concerns.
Those are definitely real concerns, no question. But nuclear technology, it's come a long way. Like, think about it. We've got these smaller, more advanced reactors now called small modular reactors, or SMRs.
SMRs. Hold up. Tell me more about these things. What's the deal?
It's like building a nuclear plant with Legos. Okay, maybe not exactly, but that's the basic idea. They're made in a factory, then shipped out, making it way faster, cheaper, and just overall smarter to build. Plus, they're designed to be even safer.
So they're like the next generation of nuclear tech. Smaller, safer, more flexible. Sounds pretty promising, honestly.
They really are changing the game. And what's even cooler, governments are starting to see the potential too. In the US, the Inflation Reduction Act, it's actually giving incentives to nuclear projects. They're seeing it as a real way to fight climate change.
Okay, so even governments are hopping on the nuclear train. Things are really shifting, huh? But what about those big tech giants? They using this nuclear power for their data centers, actually using it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's actually this crazy partnership going on right now. Microsoft, they've teamed up with Constellation Energy. And get this, they're reopening 3 Mile Island.
Wait, 3 Mile Island, that's where the big accident happened, right? They're actually reopening it.
Yep, it shows just how much things have changed. The whole place has been revamped, top-notch safety features, the whole 9 yards, and Microsoft. They've signed a 20-year deal to buy a ton of clean energy from them.
Wow, that's pretty bold. Turning a place known for a nuclear incident into a clean energy source for the future of AI. Microsoft's going all in.
They are, and they're not alone. Amazon, they've actually bought a nuclear-powered data center. And they're looking into more nuclear investments, too.
So it's not just a one-time thing. This is becoming a real trend. Google, all the other big names, are they getting in on this too?
They're definitely paying attention. Oracle's Larry Ellison, he said he's all for using nuclear for data centers. And Google, they're busy looking into partnerships with companies that make those next-gen SMRs we talked about.
So this whole nuclear-powered AI future, it's really gaining steam, huh?
It is. The demand for AI is exploding, and nuclear is stepping up as a real contender. It's sustainable, it's reliable, it's like these two totally different worlds coming together, and it's going to have a huge impact on what's next.
Whoa, that's a lot to take in. And I feel like we've only just scratched the surface here. We got to dive deeper into the challenges, the risks, all the ethical stuff that comes with this nuclear-powered AI future.
Totally agree. There's way more to uncover. Let's unpack all that in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so I'm ready to jump back in. We've talked about how nuclear energy could be a big deal for powering this AI revolution, but what would that even look like in real life?
All right, picture this. You got these huge data centers just cranking away with AI,
Yeah.
and they're all set up near these super advanced nuclear plants, maybe even those efficient SMRs we talked about earlier. Those plants just pump out clean electricity nonstop, making sure all those AI algorithms keep running. No hiccups.
So basically, no more AI assistants going, uh-oh, I can't connect because the wind stopped blowing. That'd be pretty sweet.
Mm.
But it's got to be more than just our AI assistants, right?
Bro.
What about the bigger picture?
Oh, it totally changes things. Think about the carbon footprint of the whole tech industry. All those data centers, most of them still run on fossil fuels. Switching to nuclear cuts those emissions like crazy. We're talking a big impact, like swapping a coal-powered data center for a nuclear one. That could save the same amount of emissions as taking millions of cars off the road every single year.
Whoa, millions of cars. That's insane. So this is a major environmental win. And wouldn't this also mean more jobs? I mean, building all this new stuff wouldn't happen overnight, right?
You got it. This shift would kickstart a ton of innovation and growth. Jobs in engineering, construction, you name it. It would breathe new life into old industries and create brand new ones.
So we're not just talking about clean energy, we're talking about a whole new economic engine built around powering the digital world. Pretty wild.
Exactly. It tackles a bunch of problems at once: clean energy, economic growth, tech advancements. But of course, nothing's perfect. We got to be real about those hurdles we talked about: the cost of building new plants, making sure people feel safe, and dealing with nuclear waste responsibly.
Right. Those are the big questions for sure. So how do we actually get there? From where we are now to this future where nuclear is powering all this AI, what needs to happen?
Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure, we got to keep investing in research and development, pushing the limits of nuclear tech, making those reactors even safer and more efficient. Kind of like when you update your phone software. Always trying to improve, right?
Yeah, always getting better, safer, more efficient. Makes sense. But what about all the rules and regulations? I bet getting a new nuclear plant approved is a total nightmare. Lots of red tape.
Yeah, it can take a while, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But we got to streamline things without cutting corners on safety. It's all about balance, right? Making
Nope.
sure everything's up to standard, but also letting innovation happen.
So we need to make sure it's done right, but not get stuck in endless paperwork.
Gotcha. What about the whole nuclear waste thing? Any solutions in sight for dealing with that responsibly?
Actually, there's some cool stuff happening on that front. Scientists are figuring out ways to recycle nuclear waste, which would make it way less radioactive and take up less space. And, get this, some researchers are even working on reactors that could use that old nuclear waste as fuel. Crazy, right? Wait, hold on. Using nuclear waste as fuel, that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? But it's real science, and it could be huge. Not only would it mean less waste to store, it could make the whole nuclear fuel cycle even more efficient.
That's insane. So it seems like there are answers out there for a lot of these problems. But what about how people feel about nuclear power? A lot of folks still think danger and accidents when they hear nuclear, even if the tech has gotten way better.
Yeah, that's a big one, public perception. We got to be upfront about the risks and the benefits, educate people about how much safer things are, how we're handling waste better, show them that nuclear can be done right.
So basically, be open and honest. No more hiding stuff, transparency and all that.
Exactly. We got to tackle those concerns head on, show people we're taking it seriously. Building trust, that's the key to getting folks on board with nuclear as a real solution for the future.
Right, so it's not just the tech itself, it's how we talk about it, how we manage the risks, how we build trust with people. But there's something else here, right? We can't just ignore the whole global politics side of things, especially if the world's going to rely more on nuclear.
Absolutely, you're right.
Yeah.
As we move towards a more nuclear-powered world, it's got to be done in a way that keeps everyone safe and working together. We need those strong global agreements, those safeguards in place to stop anyone from building nukes and make sure this tech is only used for good stuff.
So no nuclear arms race 2.0. Gotcha. We want this to make the world safer and more sustainable and not more dangerous.
Exactly. We need to work together, Set clear rules for using nuclear energy responsibly, get countries collaborating, and make sure this benefits all of humanity, not just a few.
This sounds like a massive global team effort, like a whole shift in thinking, not just switching energy sources. Sounds like a huge task.
It is, but it's crucial.
Yeah.
The future of AI, maybe even the future of our planet, it depends on us figuring out how to harness nuclear energy the right way. Together.
This is way more than just a tech conversation. This is about the future of our world and how we shape it. Lots to think about here. But before we get too lost in the big picture, let's bring it back down to earth. What can regular folks like me actually do to help make this nuclear-powered AI future happen? I'm not building any reactors in my backyard or anything.
That's a great question. And honestly, everyday actions can make a difference. One of the biggest things you can do is just stay informed, read up on this stuff, listen to podcasts like this one, talk to people about it.
So basically, knowledge is power. The more we know about all this, the better we can make decisions and push for change.
Exactly. And don't underestimate your voice. Contact those politicians. Tell them you support clean energy and nuclear innovation. Encourage them to invest in research.
So get involved, speak up, back the folks who are fighting for this nuclear-powered AI future. What else can I do?
There are tons of groups out there doing incredible work to promote nuclear energy and educate people. Support those organizations. Your support can really make a difference.
So put my money where my mouth is. Right, support the people on the front lines of this whole thing. Gotcha. Anything else I can do day to day?
Don't forget about those consumer choices. When you're buying tech or using online services, look for the companies that are committed to clean energy, including nuclear.
So I can support the companies that are actually doing it, walking the walk when it comes to clean energy. Never thought about it like that, but it makes sense. Every purchase is like a little vote for the future we want, right?
Exactly. Every decision we make, what we read, what we buy, it all contributes to building a better, more sustainable, more technologically advanced world.
This has been mind-blowing. I feel like I get it now, this whole potential of nuclear energy for the AI revolution. And man, it's complicated.
It is. It is. But it's also super exciting. We're just starting to see what's possible.
I'm definitely feeling inspired, but also a little overwhelmed by just how big this all is. It's a lot to process, and I bet our listeners are feeling it too.
I get it. It's a lot. These are complicated topics with big consequences. But the most important thing is to stay curious, stay involved, and keep talking about it. We're shaping the future right now, and we all have a role to play in making it awesome.
All right, so we've talked about all the good stuff, the potential of nuclear energy to power this whole AI revolution. But let's be real, there's got to be a flip side, right? Like, what could go wrong? Every time I watch a sci-fi movie, AI mixed with powerful tech, it never ends well. Always some kind of disaster.
Yeah, you've got a point there. Any technology that's this powerful, it's going to come with risks. And when you're talking AI and nuclear energy together, well, those risks get a whole lot bigger. So yeah, it's important to think about what could go wrong, really think about it.
Okay, so let's talk about those potential downsides. What are we most worried about with this nuclear-powered AI future?
Well, one of the biggest things that keeps people up at night is cybersecurity. I mean, we've all heard those stories about hackers messing with power grids and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
Critical infrastructure. Yeah. So imagine if some hacker, some bad guy, got into a nuclear plant that's powering a huge AI system. It could be a total nightmare.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. Sounds like something out of a movie for sure. So how do we stop that from happening? How do we protect these systems from attacks like that?
Cybersecurity, it's got to be the top priority. We're talking serious defenses here, multiple layers. And they got to be constantly evolving to stay one step ahead of the bad guys. It's not just about protecting data anymore, it's about protecting lives, preventing huge disasters.
So it's like building a super fortress around these nuclear plants and AI systems, making sure no hacker can get in.
Exactly. But it's not just about outside threats. We also got to think about what could happen from the inside. Like, what if someone who already has access to these powerful AI systems, what if they decide to use them for the wrong reasons? For their own gain, or even worse, to do something really bad?
Okay, yeah, now you're talking about human nature, and that's always a wild card. How do you stop someone from going rogue, especially when the stakes are so high?
That's the million-dollar question. There's no easy answer. But one thing that's crucial is setting clear ethical guidelines for how these technologies are developed and used. You need checks and balances, transparency, oversight, lots of accountability, basically. Got to make sure these powerful tools are only used for good.
So it's not enough to just build the tech. We need a whole system of rules and ethics around it.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just rules. It's about creating a culture where everyone involved, the designers, the builders, the people running these systems, they understand the potential consequences of what they're doing.
Hmm.
And that using this tech for good, that's got to be the priority.
So we need to bake ethics right into the foundation of this whole nuclear-powered AI future.
Exactly. It's a huge task, but it's the only way to make sure these technologies help us, not hurt us.
Man, this is giving me a lot to think about. There are definitely risks, no question. But it sounds like there are ways to manage those risks, too. It's like walking a tightrope, right? Trying to balance the good with the bad, the potential with the danger.
It's a balancing act, for sure. But I think we can do it. Throughout history, humans have always been great at inventing stuff and then figuring out how to deal with the consequences.
Hmm.
And I believe we can do the same with AI and nuclear energy.
Well, that's definitely good to hear. This has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like we've gone everywhere, from the nitty-gritty of nuclear reactors to the potential of AI to all the ethical dilemmas that come with it. It's been quite a journey.
It really has. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's always more to learn, more to discuss. This is just the beginning of the conversation.
And to everyone listening, thanks for coming along on this exploration with us. We hope you learned something new and that you'll keep thinking about how AI and nuclear energy are shaping the future, because it's a big deal.
The future's full of possibilities, good and bad. And it's up to all of us to be part of the conversation and work together to make sure technology makes our world better, not worse. That's what it's all about.
And that's a wrap on another deep dive. See you next time.